Today's topic is how healthy are your books and are you staying on top of them? Hi, I'm Tony Cameron with TLDR Accounting, and today we're going to discuss your bookkeeping and where it currently is at. Now, I know it's on your computer. That's not what I was asking. I'm asking if is it up to date? When this goes live, it's going to be the first week of November. When was the last time you updated your bookkeeping? If you keep it in Excel, if you keep it in QuickBooks, if you keep it in Xero, there's a lot of different accounting softwares. The question is, are you current and up to date? The answer is no. Now's the time to deal with it. I know you're thinking it's only November, you have until the end of the year. The issue becomes if, say, you haven't touched it since February, we now have February through November that needs to be caught up versus February through December. The other issue is if you do need to bring in outside help, November is a much slower time of year and you're going to get better prices for it. As soon as year end happens, any accounting firm or bookkeeper who knows what they're doing is going to charge you more because it's the busiest time of year for an accounting firm. Now, if you don't want to outsource it, it's still a great time for you to get caught up in case you run into any issues or you can't solve any problems. Now, I try not to nag about things. I warn everyone I work with I nag about retirement. This is the other area I nag about. Just because when we're asking for someone for information or casual conversation, I'll ask, how's your business doing? If your bookkeeping isn't up to date, you're probably basing it on your gut and your bank balance instead of how your numbers are actually going for the year. If you don't have up-to-date numbers in front of you, then you don't have information in front of you that's letting you know, oh, was July not as good as you were hoping and you hit the Seattle slump? Or if you're outside of Seattle, did everyone go on vacation in July so you didn't have any employees in the office and nothing got done? Or coming into November and December, it can be a slow time of year for folks, especially service businesses, because everyone's thinking about the holidays. They're going on vacation, they're spending money on gifts. They're not focusing on their businesses. They're not focusing on their own lives. They're getting all up in the holiday spirit, which is great. Everyone should take some time to get up in the holiday spirit. The issue being, are you prepared for the slow months in November and December? And do you know they're coming? Now, if you have been looking at your books and they've been up to date and you've looked at last year and you know that November and December are going to be slower months, did you hustle in September and October to make up for it? Or are you just going to eat that? So double check your bookkeeping, your status of your bookkeeping, making sure all of that is up to date. That's step one. Step two, legal compliance issues. Did you get all your Q3 filings done? If you have employees, did you get all your employer filings done with federal and state? Are you caught up on estimated tax payments? A lot of times when someone gets behind on their books, they're also getting behind on these other things. The problem is these other things are a lot worse than being behind on your books. When you're late for estimated tax payments, you have a late payment penalty depending on how much money you make. If you're not filing your payroll filings on time with the IRS, you're gonna run into some penalties and interest there. And that just costs you money you really don't need to spend. So yes, keeping your bookkeeping up to date is important because it's normally the first step to making sure you're up to date in all these other areas. And I do a lot of tax work. Come year end, one of the first things we check before we start on a tax return is, are your books reconciled? If you use QuickBooks, super easy to hop in there, see if your books are reconciled. If they're not, we're worried about, are all your income and expense items recorded correctly? Do you have $10,000 in uncategorized expenses? What do we do with the $10,000 in uncategorized expenses? If we need to go through it, it's going to cost you more money. If at instead year end you're like, oh nope, everything's reconciled, good to go, your tax return is going to get done super quick. And there's no reason not to get it done and out the door as soon as possible, because then that means instead of looking at the prior year information, you're focusing on the current year. The current year is the most important time. It's what are you doing this month for your business? How are things going this month for your business compared to the month before it, compared to your budget that you had or your projection, compared to what you're thinking about next year, and then what happened last year. You should be looking at your books in that type of way because it should be providing you that type of information. If you haven't kept up with your books at least once a month, we recommend at least once a month. So I encourage my clients the 5th. Just schedule a block on your calendar that will not move that says update your bookkeeping and finances. You hop in, you make sure everything's correct, you pull any bank statements, you get your books reconciled, and you're good to go. If your pushback is my bank statements are not ready by the 5th, just reconcile the prior month. You're still getting everything done by the 5th. Or if you feel more comfortable, move it to the 7th and get your prior month reconciled. You gotta keep up on it. So the question is, if you're not caught up on it now, you need to declutter it. You need to go in and get it up to date. It'll be the bulk of the work. Then getting caught up for the rest of November and December will be super easy comparatively. And you still have time if you decide, nope, it's easier for me to go get a couple extra clients than spend the 4 to 6 hours it might take me on this. Go work on getting your clients and contact us as soon as possible so we can work you into our schedule. All right, I covered a ton of reasons about why it's important your bookkeeping should stay up to date, and that this is one of the few areas I do nag about on a regular basis. So let us know if you have any questions. If you found this helpful, subscribe to our YouTube channel or subscribe to our mailing list, and we send out all sorts of resources, content, free webinars, and additional video content.